Alright guys, have to go back again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Lots of drama going down yesterday at the World Series of Warzone Grand Finals. Scump and Octane saying there could have been some collusion happening in the solo YOLO tournament we'll get into, but also with Biffle and his team winning the trios, lots of cheating drama happening as a result of this actually, with Shifty winning the entire tournament as well. But also, should CDL teams start to give Biffle offers because of how much he's been dominating on that side of things? Why would he accept those offers even if they arrive from some of the bottom tier teams? Definitely we'll get into that today. Very much enjoyed to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. Now, obviously I was at the event yesterday. Gotta say, the way they had this set up was pretty spectacular, and the fact that it actually worked was almost unbelievable. I mean, they had 150 players there, 300 PCs, so 50 teams, 3 players per team, and each player had a PC to play the game and a PC to stream, and there were very few, if not like none at all, technical issues. The fact that they managed to run all these maps in one afternoon and it actually went as planned and there wasn't ridiculous delays is a real testament to the guys like Ethan and all the boys that are putting this on behind the scenes, because, man, that was not an easy task to accomplish, and they did a stellar job. So the fact that it worked, I was kind of mind blown out, to be honest, and it ran smoothly for pretty much the entire day, and I guess finished pretty much when they expected it to. So, yeah, really cool stuff that actually can make this work, and in fairness, it was a way better experience to view than, let's say, World Series of Warzone a couple of years ago, when you could only watch like the player point of views. You didn't really know where anybody was. The fact that there's a codcast, you've got the different colors, it does make it a little bit easier. It doesn't mean Warzone is good to watch competitively. As far as I'm concerned, it is an absolute mess for the vast majority of the time. And then you get down to the final circle and either it's complete chaos, or you have a situation where one team has like a massive high ground advantage and it's kind of just over. So, I don't know. It's an interesting thing to watch Warzone competitive, and I expected it to be interesting. And in fairness, the venue I think was slightly livelier than I thought it might be. People had come no doubt from all across the UK and frankly across the world, at least in part, to come and attend this. And I mean, look, people were saying, oh, why don't you start chants and all this? I was like, what do you really want people to chant about for Warzone competitive? Because there's not teams in the same way. Like, people were supporting FIFA and they were supporting Jukies and stuff because they were kind of like the local guys, at least the UK representatives, shall we say, that were, you know, potentially going to do really well, and big UK content creators, stuff like this. But there's not like an OpTic team or a FaZe team, or, you know what I mean? It's not like there's a 4-day event or a 3-day event, let's say, with the normal CDL weekends, where the storylines build up and then you get like a big OpTic versus FaZe match, and every moment is interesting because when you're watching Warzone, let's say you're trying to support Juki's team, you're not following his team the whole time. Sometimes his team just dies and you never even get to see it. Like, thankfully, at least for the home crowd, Juki's team did eventually, they won, I think it was map 5 they won of the 6 maps that were played, so that was really nice to see. And, you know, so they obviously got themselves quite high up the points ladder as a result of that. But you can't follow the storylines as easily, because it's not like you can watch every second of every game between 2 teams duking it out. You kind of just have to hope the old team makes it the distance, and then you can actually see them, because the codcaster can't watch everything. And a lot of the time, the team that people want to win just ends up dying in 37th place, and then you don't get to see anything else. So, you know, I think that does affect the quality of the viewing experience. It's far from a traditional sport where you've got one player versus another player, or one team versus another team, where it's much easier to kind of get into, I would say. So, but I think that was all expected, to be honest. I just hope that the CDL people that attended didn't expect this to be what London was back in 2019. The people are the same, the pints are the same, the drinks are the same, but the competitive product just isn't as good. That's just how it is, but, you know, I don't think that will hopefully affect London getting an event in the future, because it's not going to happen anyway. The CDL aren't going to put one on anyway, probably. Maybe they will at some point, but, you know, it could be chaps or something. But we've got no London team anymore, so, you know, that is what it is. Now, some of the funniest drama of the day really was, you know, Bad Boy Beaver and people like this who've been calling these guys cheaters for a long time, and then it turns out Shifty, who was, let's not forget, the pros not long ago, a couple of weeks ago now, thought this guy was cheating, and, well, that seemingly wasn't the case. Now, Crowder got 17th with this team, so I think he did pretty well, actually. I think out of the 150 players, he was like 30-something in terms of total kills, so he did a pretty good job. I will say the way the prize money is split here was kind of surprising to me, because well, I think it was a $1.2 million tourney, but that included also some of the money given out in the lead up and the tournaments before this. So for the trios, the money from like even second and third place down wasn't really much at all, which I guess is fine, but it's like second place didn't get that much more than like 20th place or whatever. We'll see in a second. It's a little bit interesting the way the prize money was done. Tommy as well, I wanted to mention what he got up to because Rated had a bit of a hard time. I think him and Aiden's team came a little bit, not funny obviously, like I wanted them to do well, but Crim6 was roasting people for being in first class seating. Rated was one of them, so I don't know if there's anything in that. But anyway, Tommy, his team got third in the end. So, like, third is really impressive because there was always going to be some degree of randomness in this. But when you play 6 maps, the best team should generally win. And that was definitely the case with Biffle's team. I mean, wow. I don't think people expected it to be dominated like this, but Biffle's team won by an absolute landslide. Like, they'd pretty much won before the final map even started, and then they won the final map as well. So it wasn't even close. They take home 100k between Biffle, Sage, and Shifty, and then second place is only 21k for Hisoka's team, and then it's Tommy's team in third, and then we get down and see kind of the final prizing down to MettalZ team, and we can see Crowder's team here, and Z-Laner's team. I think they won a game as well with Destroy, which is quite nice. Rater's team got 13th, but yeah, he was fuming with that because, I mean, look, it's 3k. But even if you got third, you're taking home like 5k each, and then, you know, taxes on that, or however it works. So yeah, anyway, interesting tournament to say the very least. And, you know, there was a bit of drama because Swag didn't do that well, and this guy was roasting him, and then Swag was like, oh, you know, crazy, I'll blow off Steve driving my Porsche down the coast. So he goes, now how it goes, pretty funny stuff. Now, I will say, fair play to Mutex and others, because Shifty won the entire thing. He looked really promising. He played in that tournament with the pros a couple of weeks ago, like the King thing was going on and everything like this, and a lot of pros thought this guy was dodgy, thought he was cheating, and in fairness, some of the Warzone guys did as well, because as Mutex says, today proved to me how closed-minded and ignorant I was in the past. Shifty was one of the players I simply couldn't believe was legit, but he turns up here to LAN, smokes the competition, and, you know, wins the World Series of Warzone. So it was nice to see the respect between these two, but it is very interesting to think about, right, that, you know, there's so many players. Biffle was the same, that when he was making a name for himself, people thought this guy was cheating. And to be honest, this is kind of natural and happens everywhere, and in all esports this happens as well. When players are making a name for themselves, people think they're kind of dodgy, and I can totally get it when you've got to consider that it's not exactly impossible to cheat online, and there have been people that have done so and have got away with it for a time, let's say Jimbo, and then eventually got caught. So, you know, I understand why a lot of pros will see a new name that's doing really well and think, okay, this guy must be, like, not legit, but, I mean, he basically proved that he is yesterday, and obviously Biffle has now for quite some time. Now, so that was the trios. To be honest, though, the final map, the $100,000 solo YOLO, that's the more entertaining thing, because you can follow the storylines the entire time, the entire game. You can choose a player you want to win, and then you can see how they're getting on, and you can look on the left hand side of the scoreboard to see whether they're down, whether they're in the gulag or whatever. And this is what happened here. So Skullface and Sage were on the same team in the trios, and therefore they got into a gulag together, and clearly Sage decided that he was going to let Skullface take him down and go for the win. So, like, who knows if Sage would have won this gunfight or not if he tried, but he basically let Skullface come back in, and there's nothing against the rules about this necessarily, but still, as teammates, they decided, like, this is $100,000 for the winner, 0 for anybody else, right? So it's an awesome match, really. I mean, $100,000 for the winner, and, like, it's the biggest game of the day, despite the fact that the trios is meant to be bigger. People, to be honest, like, in the venue, there was way more energy about this, I felt, than about the trios. So this is what Scump and Octane have to say watching this, because having effectively given Skullface a free kill, he then went on to win the 100k.
Skullface is in! Skullface is in, bro! That's crazy! Nah, he can't win this. This is nah, Skullface wins, this is collusion, bro.
Blown up in smithereens,
He got precision airstrikes in.
Holy shit!
Bro, if he wins this is collusion, I'm gonna fuck.
Wait, Skullface is going up! Wait, this is the God spot!
Skullface.
This is God spot!
He's gonna win it. He's gonna win it.
Oh my God, I might have called it!
Don't jinx me.
Oh no.
I might have called it.
Wait, you might have called it.
No way.
He needs to
Just lay the
marinate. He just needs to marinate.
100k at the end
Oh, he's
of
getting.
this
Oh, he's
match.
shooting. He's shooting. He's shooting.
No, why are we shooting?
Oh, wait. He's
He's
gonna
gonna win. He's gonna win. Wait, Breadman's in got. Wait, Breadman can kill him though, low key.
Breadman has to leave the building.
Wait, he's still in zone. Holy shit. Wait, it's going back to him.
Has to use the gas mask. It's okay though.
Oh my god.
Wait, he's in
Oh my
God spot.
god.
He's gonna win, dude.
Skullface is gonna win. Oh my god, Skullface is gonna win.
Skullface
gonna
will
win.
win with an AR too. They all have
Skullface is gonna
SMGs.
win. Oh my god.
How is he still alive, authorized in the bush, but he
Shoot
doesn't
him.
want to give away his
He's gonna wait till
position
they
just
chow
yet.
each other, I think, right?
Yeah,
he
100%.
definitely should. He definitely should.
If he's huge, if he's huge Damon and kills one, the other guy's gonna know where he's at.
Well, I'm killing both of them right now.
Oh, he's making him fight. He's forcing him to fight.
No, he won. He won. He won. He got it. He got him. He got him. He got
Oh
him.
my god,
Oh
dude.
my god, Seth got it right, bro.
I'm not paying him. I don't give a fuck. Collusion. Sage gave it to him.
Wow.
Collusion, bro. Sage let him win. I'm not hearing it. He would have lost his goo.
Bro, he said he...
He would have lost his goo, bro. Scripted, boo, boo, scripted.
Bro, he said he was practicing.
Bro, Sage would have killed him in goo. I don't want to hear that. That's insane.
Wow,
Fucking
bro, that's
crazy. That
crazy.
is fucking crazy, man.
Some pretty crazy stuff. I imagine the competitors there won't be so happy about this because, I mean, yeah, he effectively got a second chance given to him by his teammate, but whatever. Those are the rules of the game, and there's always going to be some randomness and chaos involved when there's a single game of Warzone for 100k for the winner. I'll also say I thought it was kind of funny that Theory here was taking some credit for the Vegas Legion because he says that when he was, he invited Soka, Skullface, and Zamayapo for the World Tour as a Warzone, so technically that Skull dub is a Vegas Legion dub kind of thing. So, okay, maybe not, but whatever you guys think about that, I thought it was pretty funny. Las Vegas Legion, or whatever he said here. Kind of fun. I don't even notice that until now. But these guys ended up winning the entire thing, and the question was then raised about Biffle, right? Because this guy's clearly cemented himself as like the Warzone GOAT, or whatever you want to say, and he's been winning everything for a long time now. Doug, of course, was saying, wow, like, impressive work, and there was a similar reaction from many other people. I think Method as well did a, you know, congrats, brother, and stuff like this. So, nice to see. I just want to know how good this guy is relative to the competition. We know that when he was doing the 1v1s and stuff, when that was happening in Vanguard, that he was doing well against the pros, and he's clearly got the talent to play at a very good level, as have the other guys that he was teaming with. But Biffle's kind of like the big name there, I suppose, on the roster. And this is when you then get some, shall we say, interesting takes that arrive onto the timeline. So as well, as is mentioned here, Biffle will go down as one of the greatest COD players of all time. He would easily be the best player to ever play in the league if he decided to compete. He would gun any former and current CDL player. So I can't take all of this stuff seriously, to be honest. Look, I rate Biffle. I think he's really good. But to say that he's going to be the best to ever do it if he comes into the league is just... It's somewhat ignorant, I've got to say, and then we get this guy Fallout who says that he's one of the greatest multi-title esports players in history, and it puts him in the same category, okay, that no one puts him in the same category as Scump, Formula, and Enable yet, but he will continue the legacy. So maybe not as ridiculous of a take as I thought it is, but he calls him a multi-title esports player because he played in some Nick Merck's Apex tourneys, which I feel like is a little bit of a stretch. But look, as I say, I rate this guy, but I'm not sure that we're quite ready to have this conversation yet. And this is the debate, right, as to whether a CDL team should give him an offer. I mean, I would, to be honest. If I was one of these teams, I'd be like, look, Biffle, do you want to come along and play in the CDL? Because why not? I mean, if you're Gorillas, Ravens, Legion, I think it is possible for one of these three teams to form an actual team if the players left to make it to champs and try and do something. But I feel like if these teams could get Biffle to agree to play, like, you know, that might be a good bit of business. But Biffle will surely just turn all these offers down. What's the point? I mean, when you can play Warzone and win all this money doing so, why? I mean, you won 33k yesterday just winning the trios. I mean, you know, do you want to play for Legion and make 50k in an entire season after grind out in the CDL? Probably not. Depends on his ambitions as a player and as a creator. But, you know, players in Biffle's position, like, it's interesting because I think he could be really good if he committed to playing, you know, hardpoint, respawn, search and destroy, stuff like this. But just the way the economics of the league work, it actually doesn't really make any sense for him to do so. He's probably better off just playing Warzone and creating content and stuff on that side, and also winning the big Warzone tourneys as well. But that's pretty much it for the World Tour as a Warzone stuff today. Very much enjoyed your perspective on all this in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.